too.
Yes.
You need Caitlin to do something special. She never fails.
Right.
And that's what I've seen watching JuJu for 2 years. Anytime there was big moments, big games, and we needed her to perform, she never failed.
Her game kind of reminds me of Maya Moore's.
Yep.
Because Maya Moore was tremendous off the bounce. She could get to the rim. She could shoot the three. Had the mid-range game. She could pull up. I mean, and that's what I think. Caitlin Clark. You look at Paige Beckers. You look at JuJu. All those young ladies can get their own shot.
Mm-hmm.
They don't need to give me the ball, and I can get to my spot. Be it the mid-range. Be I can get to the lane. Do I get to the lane? Do I get all the way to the rim? It's a joy watching them, and because the talent is spread out. Because normally UConn had all the talent. Stop it. Tennessee had all the talent. You know what I'm saying? And there were some girls here and there. Stanford had a time in the early 90s that they got, Tar Vanderveer, I think it was Jennifer Azzi. They won a couple of titles in the early 90s, and they had some titles. And then, the Baylors came along. The Notre Dames came along. And now you see South Carolina. But for the most part, the UConn, Tennessee hoarded all the talent. Now you get a Caitlin Clark, who's the number one player in the country, and she doesn't go to one of those three schools. She goes to Iowa. JuJu, who's the number one player in the country, doesn't go to one of those schools. She goes to USC. Paige, who's number one, she ended up going. But you see what I'm saying? So now they're kind of spread out. We got Cameron Brink, the young lady out of Stanford, but she's more of a post player. She's not really getting the ball like those other three ladies that I mentioned. Can shoot the three, can get to the mid-range, can get to the paint, finish at the rim. So I just enjoy watching these young ladies play because that I love seeing that can their game.
Look, what I'm going to say is this. I know a lot of people want to compare JuJu to Caitlin, and even Paige compare them to Caitlin. Caitlin, one, she's a point guard. Everybody wants to compare guards, shooting guards. Caitlin Clark's the best point guard out of all of them. That there's no question about that. Caitlin Clark's the best point guard out of all of them, right? Do I like things about JuJu's game? Yes. Do I like things about Paige's game? Yes. But I'm not going to be the one to compare them to Caitlin Clark. I'm not. I think what Paige is doing at UConn is great. What JuJu's doing at USC is great. JuJu's young. She's still got some years. We understand, both of these girls, actually JuJu, she's built differently as far as her size compared to Caitlin Clark, compared to JuJu. I mean, compared to Paige. You got to understand that. She's going to play like the 3 guard traditionally. JuJu's not going to play. She could play the 2 guard. But most likely, you're going to see JuJu grow a little bit more into a 3 guard. Standard 2-3 guard. We'll see. We'll end up seeing how she develops. But right now, she's already built kind of heavy. Not heavy, but like bigger. Bigger structure, bigger frame. Very athletic. But we'll see where she traditionally ends up. Right? As far as Paige goes, there's no comparing Paige to Caitlin Clark. And I think JuJu's better than Paige. There's no comparing Paige right now, to be honest. I think Paige right now at the number 1 spot going into the 2025 draft. I'm not going to say that she belongs at number 1. I'm not going to say who belongs there, but I think there's a little bit of competition for her. So let's continue here, but I don't like the comparison.
It reminds me of a guy's game because the mid-range, the 3, getting into the paint, finishing at the rim.
You know what's funny? As much as if JuJu was allowed to come out in the draft, Fever will be. They will regret that they took Caitlin Clark number 1.
No way.
Caitlin is great.
No way.
Right?
Yeah.
But she's not JuJu, right? If you go back and look at Caitlin.
JuJu is not Caitlin. What? Gil, what are we talking about? JuJu is not Caitlin. The Fever would regret. Are you crazy? Regret what? How would the Fever regret drafting Caitlin Clark if they came out in the same draft? You think JuJu is going to be able to produce more than what Caitlin Clark is producing as a point guard, a rookie point guard in the WNBA? You guys are trying to compare someone who's already broken 63 records as a point guard, who leads the league in assists as a point guard, who's breaking records constantly as a point guard, triple-double records, all kind of things, production records. I mean, come on now. You guys are really trying to compare Caitlin Clark to JuJu? Or JuJu to Caitlin Clark? The Fever would regret? No, they would not. Let's not even get into the numbers, ticket sales, arenas, merchandise, jersey sales, fan base. Let's not even get into that because JuJu's nowhere close to that when it comes to Caitlin Clark. Now on the court, JuJu could go and have terrible games. I'm not sure what we see in JuJu. Don't get me wrong. She could have games where she scores 30, 34. That's fine. But I've seen games where JuJu's not playing that well. We're making it seem like JuJu's doing something crazy out there on the court right now, winning crazy big-time game winners and all that type of stuff. JuJu has a lot to prove still to start trying to compare to Caitlin Clark. We've seen what Caitlin Clark has done. We've seen at Iowa when she's not getting all the talent. At least at USC, JuJu's getting some talent there. Caitlin Clark was doing what she did in Iowa, what she had over at Iowa. Iowa wasn't supposed to beat any big-time teams. They went out there and dominated a lot of big-time schools who get a lot of... And when I say D1 talent, I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about, powerhouse schools. I'm talking about powerhouse schools. I know Iowa is a D1 school. But I'm talking about powerhouse. 5 stars, 4 stars, fighting to get in the door over there. So, I'm not comparing JuJu to Caitlin. I don't think that the Fever would regret that at all. No way. No way.
And as a freshman, what JuJu does, they're not even on the same planet. If they match up if they match up in the tournament, 1,000% JuJu's gonna pick her a full court.
Yeah.
Who's the threat at Iowa? It's going to be Caitlin Clark. You know that you could do that because she doesn't have too many pieces around her that are just going to take you off ball and be those go-to scorers like that. USC has other players who could go and score 30, 25, 30 a night besides JuJu. 3, 4 of the girls who could do that constantly on a consistent basis. So you're trying to compare when it's not comparable. It's not comparable. Levels above Caitlin Clark. Are you crazy? Come on now. This is ridiculous. No way, Gil. Come on, Gil.
JuJu got a woman's body. You look at the way she's built, and you look at the way Caitlin Clark is built. She can take contact. She can play through contact. She has an adult body as 18-year-old.
Yeah, she's like, that's what I'm saying. She's built.
That's fine. And we've seen what Caitlin Clark has been doing. We've seen, okay, you guys try to, and JuJu's not going to get guarded how Caitlin Clark gets guarded. Remember that. Caitlin Clark gets guarded by the toughest player on that team. And they're trying to purposely get in her skin, especially in the W. But we've seen Caitlin Clark, she's with a trainer. See, the thing with Caitlin Clark, she's locked in. She knows what she needs to improve on. I've seen her muscle. I've seen it. She's as a point guard. I've seen it. Don't forget, sometimes you might just be naturally gifted with a bigger frame. JuJu's naturally gifted with a bigger frame. Let's not make it seem like JuJu outworks Caitlin Clark. Let's not do that. Because right now you're trying to make it seem like JuJu outworks Caitlin Clark. Let's not do that. Because there's a lot of players who outwork LeBron, but LeBron is gifted with a dumb frame, a frame that most people won't have. So you're trying to discredit Caitlin Clark? Like, nah. Come on now.
Built like Booker. She played like her fast twitch muscles, like she's super athletic. She will pick her up full court. They're going to have to set a whole bunch of screens to get JuJu off her. And if she ever tries to guard JuJu, it's lunch meat. They don't have the same body.
They're not the same position.
Even back.
They're not the same position.
They're thin. I mean, and JuJu, like I said,
they're skinny.
She's built like Maya more. If you look, she's built like Maya.
Yeah, she's like, that's what I'm saying. She's gonna come straight downhill, run right.
Yeah.
Like it's like, and I'm sure Juju's like, just let me match up so I can show the world who is really that girl.
Right.
And
I don't think that's not the right matchup to be like, oh, let me show you who's that girl. That doesn't prove much. That doesn't prove much, Gil. So you want Juju just to be proven that she's better than Caitlin Clark. That's what you're trying to say. You're trying to make it known that she's better than Caitlin Clark. I don't think she's better than Caitlin Clark. I don't. And I think what Caitlin Clark does as a point guard is far more impressive than what Juju does when they're beating up teams' ass that nobody ever heard of before, staying in the game in the fourth quarter, getting them stats up. I see what you do. I see what you do. I call it out at all angles. I see what you do. I think what Caitlin Clark has done, and it's proved it done already, what Juju has not done, Paige has not done. Nobody we talk about has done what Caitlin Clark has done and has already been successful with it in the WNBA at the highest level, right? WNBA is the highest level. They haven't done that. They haven't done what Caitlin Clark has did. They haven't done it as a junior. They haven't done it her senior year. They don't have the same amount of pressure or eyes on her. They don't have the same type of defense being played on them like they do Caitlin Clark does. So we could really break down factors and factors and factors, but I'm not going to be up here discrediting Caitlin Clark for what she does and what she's capable of doing. I think Juju has a long way to go. I think Juju's great. I think she's going to be a great pro, but I don't think they don't play the same position. I hate when people try to compare people to the same position like they did with Reese and Caitlin Clark. You know, it's funny. Caitlin Clark led her group, her position in everything. And then you know what, injuries? She led the point guards too in rebounding. But guess what? You're a center. You're supposed to get rebounds. Okay. So let's really break everything down. Let's not just be, oh, this player, just because you like this player, oh, she's going to be better than Caitlin Clark. That's lunch meat. Caitlin Clark wouldn't be guarding her. Let her do that versus a built guard, a bigger guard who would play her position. You trying to discredit, oh, Caitlin Clark doesn't have the same build. She's a point guard. We're not asking her to have a 6'3" frame as a 2 or 3 guard would have. So this is non-comparable, bro.
I know that's one of those things Juju wants to see Caitlin, because she's going to pick her up full court. She's going to hound her full court, and Caitlin's not going to be able to get past her like that. She's going to need a lot of picks.
Okay. But if she gets past her, okay, she gets past her. That's what a lot of the WNBA guards said. They couldn't, she's going to have to guard, you have to get through me. Caitlin Clark, there's some of the best defenders in the league have been crossed over by Caitlin Clark. It doesn't look that fancy, but she's very good with fundamentals, and she has a very quick step. Quick first step, I'm sorry. So I'm a little confused right here with Gil, man.
One's just faster, stronger, meaner. It just, like, they're both going to compete, but Caitlin's not going to be able to guard her whatsoever, right? So that's the real matchup you want to see, is you want to see those two, and it's not going to end the way they would think.
Now, Gil, it's time for our last segment of the night, and it's called Q&A.
Yeah, we're not here for the Q&A, so I don't know. It seems like Gil's, we're all in LA. I know Juju, USC. I know your son's going to USC, I believe, right? I know that you support Bronny and you train Bronny. He's a USC guy, so I understand. We're all over here in Southern California. I get it, but different positions. Caitlin Clark has already proven that she's done a lot. Juju has a lot to do. So you're telling me Juju Watkins is going to be the one to come in and break 63 records as a rookie? I would love to see that. You're talking about someone who leads all-time scoring in the NCAA. You're going based off a skill set. That's like me telling you right now, I know players overseas who can come and give Bronny work. But guess what? That doesn't mean they're better than Bronny. I know people right now who can give Bronny work. That doesn't mean they're better than Bronny, though, right? Right, Gil? So I can give you so many instances in the NBA who we talk about who's this and who's that, and we can compare them. Maybe they're not the same position or this or whatever the case is. Like, it's just not comparable in my opinion. I love JuJu as a player. I think she's going to be great, but I don't think it's comparable. I think there's a lot that she has to prove still as a sophomore, and we'll see what she does. I'm rooting for her, don't get me wrong, but we got to stop trying to compare Paige and all these girls to someone who's already surpassed what they have done times 10. I know Caitlin Clark's the big dog. I know she's the big name. But you guys need to compare yourself to other players kind of doing what y'all doing in college and stuff like that. Y'all so worried about Caitlin Clark. Ooh, if the Fever would regret, the Fever don't regret shit. Fuck are you talking about, Gil? Fever don't regret a damn thing about drafting Caitlin Clark. You sound crazy. You sound crazy. The Fever couldn't be any happier to have Caitlin Clark. Trust me. And I can tell you that firmly. All that picking her up full court. This is not a one-on-one thing. This is a team sport. Who produces more for their team? Who does what more for their team? Who gets their team better? Who wins games? Yeah, that's what it should be about, right? Caitlin Clark is going to check all those boxes. And I know you weren't trying to say Caitlin Clark gets outworked by JuJu. Nobody's outworking Caitlin Clark. Yeah, you could have the same work ethic, but Caitlin Clark's a one-on-one. And it's been proven. JuJu, I'm sure you work hard, but let's not make it seem like you outwork Caitlin on the basketball court. I don't think so. I think Caitlin Clark is more valuable to an organization than JuJu Watkins. JuJu Watkins is going to be valuable, but she's not more valuable to an organization than what Caitlin Clark is. Out your mind. So, look, that's all I got for you guys. Shout out to Nightcap. Shout out to Shannon. Shout out to Shay. Shout out to Gil. I'll be back with some more content. I'm going to catch you on the next one. Let me know what you guys think. I'm out.